Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and thanks for checking out the video today. I always appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about fishing the balsa square bills in the summertime of the year versus the plastic models. This is the time of year for balsa, and we're going to explain when and why balsa works better, or any type of a wooden crankbait over plastic this time of year in today's video. Also, before we get started, guys, real quick, I just wanted to give you a quick reminder on the Father's Day sale that Solar Bat is having on my RB2 and RB3 series sunglasses. If you guys would like to get a pair for Father's Day or get a gift for somebody, you can get them at 25% off between now and Father's Day. And I'll put the Solar Bat link in the description if you guys would like to order a pair. So much appreciated there. Okay guys, square bill balsa crankbait. This is all I used to use. Back when square bills first came out, that's all they came in, was like the Bagley Balsa B. This is actually a homemade model right here, but there's a lot of different balsa crankbaits that you can buy retail, like at Tackle Warehouse. And also guys, I'll link my Tackle Warehouse balsa crankbait link in the description if you guys want to get some there. But I've used the balsa forever, and it was only about probably, God, maybe 15 years ago, or 10 or 15 years ago, when plastic square bill crankbaits started making sort of a beginning to outpace the balsa crankbaits, and a couple different reasons why. Number one, they're a little bit more cost effective to make. They're easier to produce. The plastic allows them to come in more color variations, as far as you can have clear plastic, so you can have like translucent colors, you could have flat finishes, metallic finishes, whereas the balsa, it's sort of like they're all relegated to like a flat finish or maybe a metallic. So a lot of people got away from the balsa, and this is not a good thing because there's a time and place for both. I still love plastic square bill crankbaits like the Megabass S crank. I use them more than I do the wooden ones. But in the summertime of the year, guys, this is when I go to the wooden crankbaits, simply because of the buoyancy they have and the action they have and how they trigger the bass in the summer based upon the mood and the personality of the fish. Now, in the summertime of the year, the bass are, it's a combination. They're a little bit more aggressive, yet at the same time, they can be a little bit, excuse me, they can be a little bit docile or inactive depending upon the water oxygen content levels in shallow water, which we're talking about here. So you may have a fish that is in the mood to feed or wants to feed, but for whatever reason it doesn't feed because the oxygen may be a little low. They're a little bit lethargic, but they're still opportunistic. And that's the whole key about fishing a balsa crankbait in the summertime, is you're triggering a strike from an inactive, active bass that is ready to feed, but for whatever reason does not want to do a lot of chasing. So here's the advantage of a balsa over a wood crankbait. You can fish it faster, you can use it as a stop and go, and it floats high. So what happens is, a lot of times, say if there's a lay down tree or something out there, I'll throw the balsa out there and I'll speed crank it past that balsa, right next to the lay down tree, and then sometimes I'll stop it and the balsa floats up super high. So when I stop it, that bait will float up super high, and that's what triggers a lot of the summer strikes, is when you do this fast stop and go retrieve. And a lot of times I'll crank it just 2 or 3 times, stop it, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this thing is always, it's sort of like, get this off of here. It's sort of like it's coming through the water like this. Hooks out of here. Coming through the water, stop it, floats up. Coming through the water, stop it, floats up. Coming through the water, stop it, floats up. So it's like, it's going like this all through the water column. And that is the thing that you have to have in order to trigger a strike from a shallow bass in off-colored water. These fish are not sight oriented, so you're not actually triggering a strike from sight. You're triggering it from water displacement, water movement, and vibration. Water displacement is really critical with this particular bait in that shallow water, because a lot of times if that bait does not come like right past that piece of cover in the summertime, like if you're that far away from a stick versus being that far away, you're not going to get a bite. Bass in shallow water in the summertime and off-colored water will not chase a lure very far. And that's the whole reason trying to speed crank the square bill crankbait, next to that. Another reason that balsa is superior this time of year is I do like to fish it around heavier cover. I don't I don't catch many fish off of any square bill crankbait in the summertime, just like cranking rock, just pure rock and clean bottoms. I'm always wanting to fish it around some heavier cover. So I'm trying to bounce it off a dock pier. I'm trying to bounce it off a stump. I'm trying to bounce it through the limbs on a fall down tree. And if you throw that square bill crankbait in and around some thicker wood cover, since it is a high floater, it tends to deflect and it floats up and won't get hung up near as bad as a plastic crankbait. So you always want to use a wooden crankbait around any type of shallow wood cover. It just keeps you from getting hung up so much. And another thing about that is it sounds different, because balsa crankbait is a silent bait. There's no rattles in it. A lot of the plastic crankbaits tend to have rattles. You can get them silent. But still, even if you got a silent plastic crankbait, the hooks, when they bang off the side of that plastic, they make a different sound than they do when they bounce off of wood. It's a lot more subdued, quiet presentation to the fish. So it's a combination. If you got this bait that displaces water, it has a lot of swing, it's got a lot of vibration, yet it's a subtle vibration. It's not overly aggressive to the fish, and that's really critical based upon the mood and the personality of how fish are in shallow water when it's warm in the summertime of the year. It's just one of those things that it just is what it is. So anyway, guys, if you haven't fished a wooden crankbait, like I said, I'll put some links in the description of the video. You can get some. I would highly suggest trying them out. This is actually the 3-inch size, but actually in the summertime, I prefer a smaller one, like the 1.5 inch size, which they make a bunch of different ones. But just give them a try, man. Just give them a try. And also another thing that might help you out is use heavy line on it. I use most of the time, like I said, 20-pound test Seaguar and Vizex line. You don't really need to go light when you're fishing shallow like that, because that stop and go power fishing, coming over the limbs, just better if you got heavier line on there. So anyway, guys, hope it helps out. We'll talk later.